I never imagined an open garage door could almost kill my wife and unborn child. But that night it did. Our HOA president followed us to the emergency room, dragged my pregnant wife off a hospital bed, and nearly cost us everything. All because of a rule she swore was non-negotiable. My name's David Morrison, and this is the story of how one HOA Karen turned my life into a nightmare, and how I made sure she would never hurt anyone again. Sarah and I had moved to Riverside Meadows thinking we'd found our forever home. Clean streets, perfect lawns, families walking golden retrievers at sunset. It looked straight out of a brochure. But beneath the charm lived a tyrant. Margaret Hutchinson, HOA president, self-appointed guardian of neighborhood standards. She was 5'0", but the way she carried that thick binder of HOA bylaws, you'd think it was a badge and gun. From the first week she was on us. Our welcome mat wasn't neutral beige. The porch light was too dim, then too bright. She measured our grass with a ruler once. I laughed it off, told Sarah. She'll get bored eventually. Sarah just shook her head. People like her never get bored, David. They get worse. She was right. 8 months into Sarah's pregnancy, the tension in our house wasn't about the baby. It was about avoiding Margaret. Then one Friday night, Sarah woke me with a cry. She was bleeding. I grabbed the car keys and sped to County General, running red lights, heart pounding like a jackhammer. Under the harsh fluorescent lights of the ER, Sarah clutched my hand, whispering, "Please, something's wrong with the baby." Nurses rushed around, machines beeped, and I tried to breathe. They said a doctor would see us in minutes. Then the doors opened, and in walked the last person I ever expected to see, Margaret Hutchinson, clutching that damn binder. "Mr. Morrison," she said sharply, "you need to come with me right now." At first I thought she was hallucination brought on by stress. "What the hell are you doing here? Your garage door has been open for 6 hours and 14 minutes, she snapped. "That's a direct violation of Section 12, Paragraph 4. You need to close it immediately or face a $500 per hour fine. That's already over $3,000. The entire waiting room froze. Even the kid crying in the corner stopped. I stared at her. "Are you out of your mind?" "My wife is having a medical emergency." "Rules are rules," she said, stepping closer, her perfume mixing with coffee breath. "If everyone ignored them whenever they felt like it, we'd have chaos." Behind me, Sarah groaned, her face ghost white. I turned back, panic flooding me. "Nurse, please." And that's when Margaret reached past me, actually, grabbed Sarah's arm. "If he won't come," she said, "then you'll have to make him see reason." "Get your hands off my wife!" I roared. But Margaret yanked harder, dragging Sarah toward the edge of the bed. Sarah screamed, monitors shrieked, the IV line snapped taut. "Please, you're hurting the baby," she sobbed. 2 security guards rushed in, wrenching Margaret away. Nurses swarmed, someone shouted for a doctor, and I just stood there, covered in Sarah's blood, watching them wheel her down the hall. Our son James was born that night at 33 weeks, 4 pounds 2 ounces. So tiny the machine seemed bigger than him. I stood at the NICU window for hours, staring through glass, feeling something inside me turn to stone. This was Margaret's fault. The police arrested her right there in the parking lot. But I knew an arrest wasn't enough. Not for what she'd done. When Sarah finally woke from surgery, pale and weak, she looked at me with fire in her eyes. "We're not letting her get away with this," she said hoarsely. "Not her, not the HOA that enabled her. I wanted her to rest. She wouldn't hear it. That woman dragged me out of a hospital bed while I begged for help. She could have killed our son. We're taking everything from her the way she took everything from us." 3 weeks later, we filed the civil suit. Assault, battery, emotional distress, reckless endangerment, civil rights violation. We sued both Margaret and the HOA. Our lawyer, Patricia Chen, dug into every complaint Margaret had ever filed, and what she found was worse than we imagined. Margaret had fined a family $2,000 because their Halloween decorations stayed up an extra day. She'd reported a single mom to child services because her lawn grew half an inch too high while her son had the flu. She'd ordered a veteran to remove his American flag for being too large, and the board knew. They'd let her run wild because she kept property values high. When we discovered that something shifted inside me, it wasn't just about Sarah anymore, it was about everyone she'd bullied. But the fight was brutal. There were nights I sat in that dark NICU hallway, head in my hands, thinking maybe I should drop it. Maybe we'd poked the wrong bear. Maybe I should have just gone home that night and closed the damn garage. Then I'd look through the glass at James, tiny, breathing through tubes, and I'd remember Sarah's hand squeezing mine before surgery. Don't let her win. So I didn't. Months later, the courtroom overflowed. Neighbors filled every seat standing along the walls. Some of them had been too scared to speak against Margaret before. Not anymore. Margaret sat at the defendant's table in a navy suit, hair slicked back, face blank. Her lawyer, a smug guy in a $1,000 suit, whispered to her while she stared straight ahead. Judge Mary Ann Foster presided, gray hair, sharp eyes, the kind of woman who saw straight through lies. She'd once been a civil rights attorney. The second she read the case summary, her jaw tightened. When Sarah took the stand, my heart nearly burst. She was still fragile, but her voice, steady, strong, filled the room. I was 8 months pregnant, she said. I was bleeding, terrified. Then Margaret Hutchinson came in, demanding my husband leave to close our garage door. When I told her to stop, she grabbed me. She dragged me. She said I was being dramatic, that first-time mothers always overreact. The courtroom gasped. Margaret's lawyer tried to twist it. Mrs. Morrison, wasn't your pregnancy high risk? Sarah's eyes flashed. No, it was perfectly healthy until she put her hands on me. He smirked. 38 is advanced maternal age, correct? 38 isn't elderly counselor. My doctor said everything was fine until she attacked me. Even the judge looked impressed. Over the next 2 days, our neighbors told their stories. The widow forced to tear out her garden. The veteran stripped of his flag. The single mom whose kids were interrogated by child services. Each testimony chipped away at Margaret's mask. But the knockout blow came from Dr. Rachel Kim, Sarah's obstetrician. In my professional opinion, she said firmly, the stress and physical trauma from that assault directly caused Mrs. Morrison's placental abruption and premature birth. If it had been complete, both mother and child would have died before surgery. The room went silent. Finally, it was Margaret's turn. She straightened in her chair, chin high. I was performing my duties as HOA president, she declared. The Morrisons left their garage door open. I tried calling. They ignored me. I had to act. You followed them to a hospital, Patricia pressed. HOA violations don't pause for personal emergencies, Margaret said as if reciting scripture. If we made exceptions, the system would collapse. Murmurs filled the room, shock, anger, disbelief. So you walked into an ER, saw a pregnant woman bleeding, and thought property values were more important. I didn't think it was that serious, Margaret said flatly. People exaggerate emergencies to avoid responsibility. The words hit me like ice water. Even after everything, she still believed she was right. Patricia's voice dropped to a deadly calm. You barely touched her, you said. Yes, Your Honor. Patricia said the plaintiffs would like to play the hospital security footage. The lights dimmed, a big screen lowered. There we were. Sarah on the bed, pale and crying, me beside her, Margaret storming in like a thundercloud. Every word came through clear. Your garage door. Section 12. Fines. Then, the moment. Margaret grabbed Sarah's arm. Sarah screamed. Machines blared. Nurses shouted. The entire courtroom sat frozen, watching the horror unfold frame by frame. When the video ended, you could have heard a pin drop. Then someone whispered, "Monster." Another person started crying. Even jurors wiped their eyes. Judge Foster leaned forward. Mrs. Hutchinson, do you still claim you barely touched her? Margaret's face drained of color. That video doesn't show context, she stammered. It doesn't show how many times they violated the rules, how much I sacrificed for that community. It shows everything that matters, the judge said coldly. It shows you choosing a garage door over a human life. She turned to the jury. Proceed. Patricia's closing argument was fire. This wasn't about a garage door, it was about power. A woman drunk on control who forgot what decency looks like. The Morrisons aren't her first victims, they're just the ones who survived. Margaret's lawyer tried damage control, but it was useless. The jury had seen the truth. They deliberated less than 3 hours. When the forewoman returned, her voice trembled with fury. We find in favor of the plaintiffs on all counts. We award $300,000 in compensatory damages and $2 million in punitive damages against Margaret Hutchinson and the Riverside Meadows HOA. The courtroom erupted. People clapped, some cried. The judge let it go for a full minute before striking her gavel. Then she looked straight at Margaret. You are permanently barred from holding any HOA leadership position in this state. You will undergo anger management therapy for 2 years. You will never again weaponize community rules against another human being. Margaret tried to speak. This is unfair, but the judge cut her off. Say one more word and I'll hold you in contempt. And that was it. The reign of Riverside Meadows Karen was over. Months later, she pled guilty in the criminal trial, 18 months in jail, 3 years probation. The HOA board resigned in disgrace. I didn't feel joy, just relief. When I walked out of that courthouse, reporters shouting, flashbulbs popping, all I could think about was that night the lights of the ER, Sarah's scream, and how close I came to losing everything because of one person's obsession with control. I've learned something since then. Power without empathy is just cruelty with paperwork.